Last week, I was watching my daughter paint and craft. She had her little watercolor markers set spread out on the floor, completely absorbed, mixing colors, making shapes, fully immersed in creation. And then my wife said something that hit me like a truck. You know, you're never really here anymore, even when you're here. And she was right. Even in that moment, supposedly watching, part of my mind was already calculating. How many hours until I have to prep for tomorrow's work? How much longer can I afford to sit here before I need to get back to the grind? My daughter was creating freely, joyfully, without a single thought about whether her painting would make money or be productive. And I was sitting there, watching her freedom, while feeling completely trapped. And then this thought crashed through. In one of my recent videos, I talked about how infinite versions of you exist right now across infinite realities. How all moments exist simultaneously in the eternal now. So somewhere, right now, there's a version of me that lives like my daughter paints. Fully free. Creating without constraint. With infinite resources, doing only what he loves. Fully present without that voice in the back of his head screaming about bills and obligations and survival. That version exists. Right now. Not in some fantasy future. Right now. So here's the question that paralyzed me on that floor. If that version of me exists now, and this version exists now, and we're both equally real in the eternal present, then who am I? Which one is the real me? And here's what really broke my brain. Who is choosing which version I experience? Because if I'm sitting here feeling trapped, feeling like I can't choose to be that other version, then what does that say about free will? About destiny? About whether my life is already written, or whether I'm actually authoring it moment by moment? Today, we're going to explore the spiritual truth about fate versus free will. And I need to warn you, the answer isn't what you think. It's not, you have free will, or everything is predetermined. It's something far stranger and far more liberating. That moment, watching my daughter paint while I calculated my survival, I couldn't shake it. Because suddenly, all these spiritual concepts I'd been exploring weren't abstract anymore. They were burning. Here's what I mean. I've talked about how you're not your body. You're the timeless consciousness witnessing the body. I've explained how time is an illusion and all moments exist simultaneously. I've shared how the separate self that thinks it's choosing is actually just life living itself. But none of that helped me in that moment. Because in that moment, I felt trapped. Trapped in a version of reality where I have to do soul-crushing work to survive. Where I can't just create freely like my daughter. Where infinite abundance and freedom exist for other versions of me, but not this one. And if all of that is true, if infinite versions exist now, if time is an illusion, if I'm timeless consciousness, then why can't I access that other reality? This is where every spiritual teaching I'd learned suddenly felt like a cruel joke. You create your reality. Really? Because I didn't choose to be born into a world where money exists and I need it to feed my family. You have free will. Really? Because I can't just choose to live like that abundant version of me. There are consequences. There's a daughter who needs a roof over her head. Time is an illusion. Great. But my rent is still due on the first of the month in very linear, very real time. And that's when I realized the question isn't whether free will or destiny is real. The question is, if infinite versions of me exist simultaneously, why am I locked into experiencing this one? Because here's what haunted me. If that abundant, free, fully present version of me exists right now, and I can almost feel him, then the prison isn't circumstances. The prison is whatever's keeping me from shifting into that reality. Is it karma? Is it conditioning? Is it some cosmic script I agreed to before birth? Or, and this is what terrified me, is it me? Am I choosing this struggle somehow unconsciously? And if I am, can I choose differently? Or is even that choice an illusion? So I did what I always do when I get spiritually stuck. I went looking for answers. Neuroscience, quantum physics, ancient wisdom traditions. And what I found didn't just answer the question. It shattered the question itself. Let me show you what I mean. In the 1980s, a neuroscientist named Benjamin Libet conducted an experiment that would shake our understanding of free will to its core. He asked people to do something incredibly simple. Flex their wrist whenever they felt like it. Completely spontaneous. Their choice. But while they did this, he measured their brain activity. And here's what he found. The brain initiated the action 0.5 seconds before the person became consciously aware of deciding to move. Think about that. Your brain was already committed to the action before you experienced the thought. I'm going to move my wrist now. The decision wasn't being made by your conscious awareness. Your conscious awareness was just noticing. Like a news reporter showing up after the event and claiming to be the author. But it gets stranger. There's a condition called split brain syndrome, where the connection between the brain's two hemispheres is severed. Researchers can show different images to each hemisphere and ask the person to respond. Here's what happens. The right brain sees an image and directs the hand to pick up an object. The left brain, which controls language, has no idea why the hand just moved. But instead of saying, "I don't know," it instantly fabricates a story. "Oh, I picked that up because I needed it for..." The brain literally invents a narrative to explain actions it didn't consciously choose. This is exactly what was happening on that floor with my daughter. My brain, shaped by decades of conditioning, survival fears, neural pathways carved by experience, had already decided that I needed to worry about work, that I needed to calculate time, that I couldn't afford to be fully present. And my conscious mind? It was just the narrator, the voice that came in after the worry arose and said, "I'm choosing to think about work right now because it's responsible." But I wasn't choosing. The brain's prediction machine was running its program, and consciousness was along for the ride. In my video about waking up, I talked about how your brain creates a controlled hallucination, a simulation of reality based on past experience. Well, your sense of choosing is part of that simulation. The neuroscientist Michael Gazzaniga calls the part of your brain that narrates your choices the interpreter. It's the voice that says, "I did this because..." But it's not the author. It's the publicist, spinning the story after the fact. So here's the unsettling truth. Most of what you think are conscious choices are actually unconscious processes that consciousness becomes aware of after they've already begun. You didn't choose to worry during that moment with your daughter. The worry arose from conditions, conditioning, neural patterns, survival programming, and then you became aware of it. But before you spiral into existential dread, let me tell you, this is where it gets interesting. Because if you're not the one choosing, then who is? Let's bring in quantum physics for a moment, because this is where science and spirituality start speaking the same language. In quantum mechanics, there's something called the many worlds interpretation. It suggests that every quantum possibility doesn't just maybe happen, it actually happens. Each possibility branches into its own timeline, its own universe. So right now, there's a universe where you chose differently at every decision point in your life. There's a version of me who didn't take that soul-crushing job. A version who said no to fear and yes to creation. A version living exactly like my daughter paints, freely, joyfully, without constraint. And according to quantum physics, that version isn't hypothetical. He's real, existing now. Buddhism has been saying something similar for millennia, not in scientific terms, but in experiential ones. The concept of dependent origination teaches that reality arises from infinite causes and conditions intersecting in this moment. Your experience right now is the convergence of countless karmic streams. Your conditioning, your ancestors' choices, the collective consciousness, the universe's unfolding. You're not choosing your reality. You're the point where reality becomes conscious of itself. In Vedanta, they talk about Brahman, the infinite eternal consciousness, expressing itself as infinite forms. You, me, that abundant version of you, the struggling version. We're all Brahman wearing different masks, experiencing itself from different angles. The Sufis say it even more beautifully. God loves to be known, so he creates infinite forms through which to know himself. So here's the reframe. Those infinite versions of you aren't separate people you failed to become. They're all expressions of the same consciousness, your consciousness, exploring different possibilities. And the version you're experiencing right now? It's not random. It's not punishment. It's not even really a choice in the way you think. It's recognition. Stay with me here, because this is the part that changed everything for me. What if destiny and free will aren't opposites? What if they're the same thing seen from different angles? Here's what I mean. Destiny isn't some predetermined script written by an external god or cosmic force. Destiny is the potential inherent in timeless consciousness. It's the pattern this particular expression of awareness came to explore. Free will isn't the ego making autonomous choices. Free will is consciousness becoming aware of which possibility it's collapsing into. Think of it like this. Imagine a tree. The acorn contains the potential to become a tree, but it doesn't choose to grow toward sunlight. It expresses its nature. The environment provides conditions. The tree unfolds. Is that destiny or free will? Both. Neither. The question itself is wrong. The tree isn't separate from the forces acting on it. It's an expression of those forces. And so are you. When I was sitting there watching my daughter paint, feeling trapped, I was experiencing the collision of two forces. The timeless me, pure consciousness, unlimited, already whole, was aware of infinite possibilities. The conditioned me, this particular body-mind shaped by survival fears, cultural programming, karmic patterns, was navigating this specific reality. The tension I felt wasn't a problem to solve. It was the friction point where destiny and free will meet, where the infinite collapses into the finite, where consciousness forgets itself just enough to play at being human. The ancient Stoics understood this. They had a concept called amor fati, love of fate. Not passive resignation, but active participation in what is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs. Not because you're powerless, but because what's happening is the expression of your deepest nature unfolding." The Bhagavad Gita says something similar. You have the right to action, but never to the fruits of action. Act, show up, make choices, but don't mistake yourself for the author. The Tao Te Ching calls this Wu Wei, effortless action, not forcing, not resisting, moving with the current of what wants to happen through you. So here's the answer to the question I was tormented by. Why am I locked into experiencing this version? You're not locked in. You're the awareness noticing this particular stream of the infinite river. The abundant, free version of you exists. He's real, but he's not other than you. He's you exploring a different set of conditions, a different branch of the tree. And this version, the one feeling trapped, the one worrying about rent, the one watching his daughter paint while calculating survival, this version is also you. Also real. Also an expression of infinite consciousness choosing to experience limitation. Not as punishment, but as exploration, as play, as the only way for consciousness to know itself, by pretending for a moment to be something less than infinite. The Hindus call it Lila, divine play. God playing hide and seek with himself. You are infinite consciousness pretending to be limited, just so you can experience the joy of remembering what you really are. So how do you actually live with this? How do you navigate daily life when you understand that choice is both real and illusory, that destiny is both fixed and fluid? Let me give you a practice that's transformed how I show up. The choice that chooses itself. The next time you're facing a decision, big or small, instead of agonizing over, what should I choose? Try this. Get quiet. Breathe. And ask, what wants to happen here? Not, what do I want? Not, what should I do? But what is already choosing itself through me? This is subtle but profound. You're shifting from the ego trying to control outcomes to awareness listening for what's already in motion. Sometimes the answer comes immediately. A clear knowing. Not from thinking, but from a deeper place. Sometimes nothing comes. And that's information too. It means the moment hasn't ripened. The conditions haven't aligned yet. After that moment with my daughter, instead of guilt-tripping myself or forcing myself to be present, I just asked, what wants to happen right now? And the answer was clear. Witness this. Feel the tension. Don't fix it. The spiritual journey wasn't about becoming the abundant version of me. It was about being fully present to this version, the one who feels trapped, the one who struggles, because he's also consciousness. He's also divine. Here's another tool. Live as if both are true. Act as if you have complete free will. Make choices, take responsibility, show up fully. And simultaneously, recognize that every choice is the universe choosing itself through you. Hold both. The paradox is the point. The Zen master Shunryu Suzuki said, "Each of you is perfect the way you are, and you can use a little improvement." You are both the author and the character, the chooser and the chosen, infinite consciousness and limited human. The spiritual journey isn't about resolving this paradox. It's about living inside it, with grace, with humor, with presence. So, is your life already written? Yes. Every version of you exists simultaneously in the eternal now. Every possibility has already happened in the quantum multiverse. And also, no. Because the version you're experiencing moment to moment is being chosen, not by a separate ego self making autonomous decisions, but by consciousness itself recognizing which stream of reality it's flowing through. Destiny is what you are. Free will is how you experience becoming it. That version of me living freely, abundantly, without struggle, he exists. He's real. But so is this version, the one sitting here, telling you this story. The one who felt trapped watching his daughter paint. The one who went searching for answers. And I'm learning to love this version. Not despite his limitations, but because of them. Because limitation is how infinity gets to know itself. You are not locked into one timeline. You are the consciousness experiencing all timelines, focused right now on this one. And maybe, this is exactly the version you came here to explore. So I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt this tension? That sense that another version of you exists, living the life you wish you had? How do you hold that? How do you show up to this life while knowing infinite others exist? I'm genuinely curious. Thank you for being here. Thank you for exploring these questions with me. I'll see you in the next one.